Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Oh, come in here, my fellow DCEU fans. Sit down. Today I want to talk about the lack of Superman in the DCEU, the lack of a conversation about Superman, and how we're desperate for a Superman universe to be formed within the DCEU. A Superman family. I also want to talk about this word, reboots, right? So first, let's talk about Superman. We still don't know what's going on with Superman. We don't know if we're getting another movie. We don't know who's playing Superman. It's still all a very frustrating situation. For me, we need to, I've already told you my idea for a Superman film, but we need to build a Superman universe within the DCEU of films. They're doing it with Aquaman. They're doing it with Green Lantern with Jeff Johns. And they need to do it with Superman. I want to see Superman, Lois Lane. I want to see that Daily Planet family dynamic. I want to see Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen is a very, very important character as far as I'm concerned. We want to see Connor Kent, Superboy. We want to see the lot, even Crypto. We want a Superman family built. They're building the Batman family. I'm sure Matt Reeves will be doing that alongside his Batman, the Batman trilogy, and I can't wait to see what he's doing. He needs to start talking as well, because again, with that situation, I'll talk about that in a minute when I talk about the reboots thing, because reboots is a word that's been bandied about since the failure of Justice League. So we really do need a Superman universe to be built. I want to see a Fortress of Solitude. I want to see Brainiac. I want to see Argo City. I want to see the bottled city of Kandor. I want to see all of this, right? I want them to go to the comics and bring this Superman universe to life, because there are so many aspects to Superman, So many people talk about Superman being difficult to write about. No, he's not. First of all, there's the emotional aspect. Now, for 10 seasons in Smallville, they understood how to make Superman relatable, and that's by going to the emotional aspect of the character. And Kryptonite was a character itself in Smallville, Superman's greatest weakness. But Superman has another weakness, and it's also a strength. And I think Martha Kent said this to Clark once in Smallville. Your gift to trust people and to love people is your greatest strength, but it's also your greatest weakness. I think that's one of the great pieces of dialogue in Smallville and Superman history. So I think there's an opportunity here to build the Superman family, to build this Superman universe. Just go to the comics, bring it to life, and do something extremely special. So let's talk about reboot. The word reboot has been bandied about since the failure of Justice League. But there's been very little evidence of this. Everyone's predicted it, everyone's had articles, everyone's got insiders that DC and Warner Brothers want to reboot the DCEU. So after Justice League, we had Aquaman, a film I was very, very worried about initially. I thought it was going to cave in. I thought it was going to flop. But Walter Hamada and James Wan really did course correct that film. And it worked because originally Zack Snyder's plan for that film was to have Batman in it. We've seen the artwork. And now I would have welcomed that. But I think what that film needed was to be within its own universe after what happened with Justice League. Keep it away for now from the all-round universe, because the all-round shared universe had imploded thanks to what Joss Whedon and Kevin Sugihara did with Justice League. So Aquaman has very little kind of reboot about it. It's the same universe. They mentioned Steppenwolf. It's continuing from Justice League. It's all there. Then the other film, and this is the only other film we've had since Justice League, is Shazam. Now, Shazam proudly throws Easter eggs upon Easter eggs from the DCEU, from Batman v Superman, from Man of Steel. So there's no course correction there either. Now, we've recently had announced that Robert Pattinson is now going to be Matt Reeves, the Batman. Now, this is where a course correction is starting to look a little bit more realistic. But the truth of the matter is, and it doesn't matter what anyone says to you, the truth of the matter is, we don't know if Robert Pattinson is a younger version of Batfleck or a brand new Batman from another multiverse. We don't know what this is. Now, last year, when all the rumours came out that Matt Reeves wanted to do a kind of a film outside of the DCEU, he said, no, this will be within the DC shared universe of movies. Now, has something changed since then? Well, who knows? I mean, since Walter Hamada's come in, there has been rumours of a course correction. So we don't really know who or what Pattinson's Batman is. We don't know if he's Batfleck, a younger version, or we don't know if he's a totally brand new character. I think if there is a course correction, a kind of a semi-reboot, because I think they're not going to totally clear this off and, reboot it totally from the DCEU. There's a continuation there. It's too hard to do all that. So I don't think they're going to do a situation where Robert Pattinson's just a new actor and it's not going to be explained. It seems to me that Walter Hamada and everybody else wants to explain why there's a new Batman. So that's going to be interesting. Now we go to Wonder Woman 1984, which of course here on this channel I always talk about being the pivotal course correction. We've had some explanations what Wonder Woman 1984 has. There's been some test screenings. People are talking about maybe, the character played by Pascal. I forgot his first name. And I forgot the character's name, a very famous character within DC Comics. But I didn't sleep last night, so I'm normally crap with names. And now I'm going to be even worse with names. But anyway, in the comics, apparently, this character was affected by an alien invasion. So what happens is he has powers. He can grant people wishes. And so the rumour is that he grants Diana the wish of bringing back Steve Trevor back from the dead. Now, there's other rumours, of course, about Wonder Woman 1984 that this doesn't even continue from the first Wonder Woman film, that this is set on another Earth. If that's the case, Steve Trevor isn't dead, and there's something else going on here. And could the character that Pascal is playing actually be from another multiverse? Can he control the multiverse? Can he bring people in and out of the multiverse from different Earths? Is that what he's done with Wonder Woman, aka Diana? So again, all we really know, and I believe it when they say it's a romantic 80s spy thriller. I believe that element. Diana's going to be kind of on a mission as a spy, which again is going to be very, very interesting. And she's going to be on this mission with Steve Trevor, but we don't know. We don't even know if this film's going to continue from the first Wonder Woman film. I think it's extremely exciting. I'm very excited about this situation and what's going to happen. Wonder Woman 84 is a really pivotal movie. And then you throw J.J. Abrams into the mix. Now, what do I know about this J.J. Abrams kind of situation where Warner Media have won the bidding? They beat Apple TV, thank God, because I think, look, this acquisition of J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot is as massive as Disney buying Fox. It is. Because J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot can really develop the streaming service for them. He and his people can develop TV shows with all the properties that Warner Brothers own and, develop brand new franchises. But it's one of the worst kept secrets that J.J. Abrams was developing a Superman film many, many years. Now, the name for it, and I don't think it was going to be the final name, was Superman Flyby, which never happened. And I think it's been a regret of JJ. And I think if he's going to touch anything within the DCEU, it's going to be a Superman movie. Again, like I said with this situation with Bad Robot coming into Warner Media, this is both good and concerning. Because J.J. Abrams, as I said, J.J. Abrams at his best was when he was working on Alias. The first 3 seasons of Alias, it was all J.J. Abrams. He was writing, he was directing, him and his team were working together. But when he became successful, that's when he took a back seat from Alias, and it wasn't as an effective show. For example, in season 4, I thought season 5 was a marked improvement, and that was the final season. But Alias is a great show. It's hot, I tell you what, really, really hot. But I think he, as a storyteller and a director, he's a genius. So he could give us a really good Superman film. And I think because this is a dream for JJ to be attached to a Superman film, to develop, to write and direct a Superman film, we could get something really special. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen or if he's just going to be there with his fingers in all these pies, developing all these different projects for Warner Media. That's a more realistic position. But at the end of the day, he's a writer, he's a director, he loves DC, he loves Superman. He's going to want to get his hands on a Superman movie. And maybe throughout these negotiations, this is why we've had no word of Henry Cavill and what's happening with a Superman movie, because all this time they've been in negotiations with J.J. Abrams. Now, J.J. Abrams has had this lucrative contract with Paramount for a very long time, but he's also been embedded within Disney. I mean, Alias and Lost were on ABC TV, which is owned by Disney. So he's had these relationships. I would imagine that Warner Brothers would have said to him with a proviso, you can't be involved with Disney or Paramount anymore. $500 million, to do this deal with Bad Robot and him and his wife is a lot of money. So they want some exclusivity here, don't they? So he's going to be a total Warner Brothers man. And I think they need him. They need his genius and they need his directing skills. And I think if he was attached to Superman, some people would be happy and some people wouldn't be happy. Because we go back to Star Trek 2009, and I've spoken about this before, that's one of my best films I've ever seen. I'm not a diehard Trekkie, but he brought the spirit of Star Trek back with that film, with different actors. That's not an easy thing to do. Now, Star Trek Into Darkness is a little bit the Batman v Superman of his career. It's a really, really good film, Star Trek Into Darkness. The problem with it is, it's just not Star Trek. Now, I'm okay with that, but it wasn't Star Trek. It's really a story about, terrorism. And really, that was the theme, because there was a lot of terrorism going on back then as well in the real world. So I think he was trying to make some commentary there. I think maybe a Star Trek film was the wrong place. But Star Trek Into Darkness isn't a bad film. And I think the problem is, again, he was then offered the Star Wars gig. Can you turn down a Star Wars gig? Well, the Star Trek fans are not very happy. They're not happy with Star Trek Discovery. They're not happy with him and his people and what they've done to that franchise, because it's become a political situation. And so here's the thing. Is he going to come into Warner Media and do the same thing? I hope not, but this is where we are in the entertainment industry. Nothing's written in concrete anymore. They're not particularly just focused on creating great content, storytelling, films and TV. They're obsessed with political commentary, and this is the problem we have here. But if J.J. Abrams can just focus on a great Superman movie, then we could have something special on our hands. Basically, it's a good deal for Warner Brothers. He's going to focus on turning this studio around. Now, I think Warner Brothers is a great studio, all in all. If you take away Justice League, if you take away what they did to the DCEU in terms of the Batman v Superman theatrical cut, the Suicide Squad theatrical cut, they messed with that, and they messed with Justice League, of course. They kept on doing it, and that was Sujihara's fault. Thankfully, he's gone. Warner Brothers is going to be in new hands, and I think they've made it pretty clear that the focus is on creative director freedom, and that's very, very important. So what do you think? Would you like to see J.J. Abrams write and direct a Superman movie? Do you agree with me that we should create a massive Superman universe? And what do you think? Reboot or not to reboot? What's going on? Who and what is Robert Pattinson's The Batman? What exactly is going on with Wonder Woman 1984? Well, the great news is we're not going to know for quite a while, so we can keep on guessing.